the setting of the evening. You can't help but feel good when you come home from an evening like that. And because I have for many years lived on Capitol Hill, I represent the district. I'm a native Washingtonian. I now live on Capitol Hill. I didn't have to go far from National Stadium to come home. But I returned to find a pungent smell in the air because the storied neighborhood hardware store, Frager's, was in the process of being burned to the ground. I could get only so far along Pennsylvania Avenue. Then everyone had to take a detour. Even this morning, parts of Pennsylvania Avenue southeast were closed off because of smoke, of even then hot spots from the fire. It was like losing a friend, a human friend, that is. My first thought went to the employees. There are about 65 of them, and I'm grateful to have learned that it appears that no one was injured or hurt. And I'm telling you, this pungent, remember this is a hardware store, so there's all kinds of things to go up in flames, and all kinds of smells coming. And even though I'm a number of blocks, no more than about 6 blocks, I could smell very deeply from the fire. In fact, the city said everyone should go in, turn on their air conditioning, and not come out for a while. The employees were still in the building. Some of them got out of the fire, and no one was injured or killed. I have understood that there may have been a couple of firefighters who were injured. We certainly wish them the very best and thank them for fighting what was a horrendous, hot, and unusual fire in the middle of a residential neighborhood. When a store that's been in the same location for 100 years goes up in flames, you begin to realize that it was more than a neighborhood hardware store, that after almost 100 years, in the same location, it had embedded itself into our Capitol Hill community as an institution all its own. It stirred in me something like the emotion that I felt when the Eastern Market, this historic old market that was even older than Frager's, went up in flames a few years ago. Those are parts of your neighborhood you cannot imagine being without. We have since rebuilt Eastern Market so that it looks very much like it always did, because it's a historic building and great pains was taken to see to it. Now, I'm not sure we'll be able to do that for Frager's. After all, it was a public institution, the Eastern Market, and that's not the case with this private business, which has thrived in our neighborhood through the era of mega hardware stores. It survives when the era of the corner grocery and the corner store of any variety seems to have gone by the way. It says everything about Frager's that it could survive in this kind of competition where these multi-purpose mega hardware stores are accessible if you want to get in your car. And I guess that may be the key to why these corner institutions survive so long. And Frager's was not a state building. That's part of the reason it could burn down. You know, you go in there and they have squeezed goods into Frager's that you will not find at our wonderful mega hardware stores. They're the kinds of things that may have gone out of style, but they're just what you need, and they're just what goes with your own home, and we are in a historic district. I live in a historic house. You can't do anything on the outside of that house. You can change it on the inside. So you can imagine we're always trying to match up the historic eccentricity of our homes with what's available in the stores. Well, Frager's always there to help you. The loss is for us monumental. I think it has survived all these years, not simply because it happens to have often what we can't find anywhere else, but because of the service ethic that is a part of this neighborhood institution. You go in there, they know you if you've been in there once before. They go out of their ways to help you even as you try to find your way through the cramped aisles. They have the amenities you need. You may still go to the big mega store, but very often you'll try Frager's first, or have to go to Frager's when you didn't find it where you might have thought it should have been. Above all, such stores in our neighborhoods are tailored to our needs. They've learned what people ask for, and they try to stock it when no one else would. It made me recall the 90th anniversary. That was about 3 years ago of Frager's. I was so impressed that you could have a store that is where it was 90 years ago, and now we are 3 or so, that could still celebrate that it's there and it's been there all that time. So I came to the floor on that occasion and have since put those congratulatory remarks in the congressional record. So I was really very much looking for another opportunity today to salute Frager's and to say, Frager's, that we know you are different from the Eastern Market. Yes, you have insurance, but you don't have taxpayer dollars to help you build. But I think you will find a very grateful neighborhood doing all it can to help Frager survive, even as the Eastern Market historic market has survived, because there are certain institutions that are endemic to the neighborhood, and if they go, it simply will not be the same neighborhood. The morning after you still couldn't get close to Frager's, I'm going to go by this evening, and I'm going to try to find John Weintraub, who is the owner. This store is located at 11th and Pennsylvania Avenue, Southeast. The cause of the fire is still not known, or at least was not as of this morning. John Weintraub bought this store, bought Frager's from the Frager family in 1975. So that tells you that for most of this, well, for a very good section of this period, one family owned it, and yet he has kept it in so that it seamlessly moved from the family to Mr. Weintraub. He's hoping that his insurance takes care not only of the building, but somehow helps him with the salaries of his 65 employees. I'm very pleased that by the time I awakened this morning, the Matchbox, another store in our location, had announced that it would offer temporary work to Frager's employees until they are able to find employment. And I was so pleased to read that the nursery, which was my favorite spot at Frager's, was somehow intact. Beside this hardware store, which is a remnant of its former self-nail, was a large nursery, outdoor nursery with just the kind of flowers you need to start up your window box in the spring, with all the plants, and you could go and shop on the outdoors there. Somehow or the other, that had survived most of the fire, and I bet you that we're going to be able to go very soon, notwithstanding the destruction of the building, to the nursery, just to remind everybody that Frager's is alive, well, and thriving. I want also